You mentioned, I mean, as an economist, you tend to support a lot of your arguments with reference to economics.
Absolutely.
Right. And Victor's background, at least in part, is farming. So it was natural for us to talk about the California wildfire disaster because he could at length explain exactly what's going on with California's water. But the way that he accounted for this situation, and I bring it up just because it's still quite topical, is that you have a situation where the government is at the hands of this bi-coastal, in this case, west coastal elite, and they're ideologically captured and incompetent, and their mismanagement is what led to this tremendous disaster, or at least seriously contributed to it. Whereas if you had people closer to the soil or closer to the water in charge, this disaster would not have expanded to the proportions it has taken up.
But this is simple-mindedness. What is this as an analysis? Bad people made bad decisions. Okay, but why are those bad people in a position to do that? And why did they make the bad decision? Well, what? Where's it? What kind of an analysis? This is not analysis. This is saying there's something really bad happened, and I'm going to tell you who's responsible. Okay. Can we get beyond that? Could you? Okay, well, you pointed at Jack or at what is it? The elite. Well, how did they get to be the elite? Who didn't get there? Why did that happen? Come on. This is not an analysis. This is substitute. You don't need an analysis. You got the bad guy. I don't have to understand why any of this happened. I got the bad. By the way, that's our criminal justice system. Well, we get the bad guy and we put him in jail. See? Yeah, Jack. You know what the recidivism rate in the country is? That guy in jail is going to come out. And you know what jail is going to do? Make him worse. You're not solving any problem. Has jail solved our crime problem? We're a crime-ridden society. Everybody has a gun. That was supposed to solve the problem. Didn't. What are you doing? That Mr. Hanson can sit, and again, I don't know him and I bear him no ill will, but to sit and talk like this, doesn't he feel the need? If he's going to make the bad guy be people in California who have been incompetent. Really? You think incompetence is all on one side of the ledger here? And if they are incompetent, how come they're in this position to do these things as such big incompetence? I mean, the questions that this kind of line of thinking opens up that are not admitted or addressed ought to make you wonder, wow. And again, I'm getting closer to taking offense because there are ugly versions of this, which are racism. That also pins a whole lot of associations on some group. Well, what? I noticed Mr. Trump said that the problem with immigrants is when they do crime. And then his own FBI had to release the statistics that the crime rate among undocumented immigrants is lower than the crime rate among natives, which would have been the reasonable presumption anyway. Why? Because if you're an undocumented immigrant, you want to keep as far away from the police as, come on. My parents were immigrants. I'm also personally affected by this. And this, by the way, Mr. Hanson knows that this country has a history, serious history of racism, of blaming people of bad-mouthing every immigrant wave that came here. The English did it to the Irish did it to the Italian. I could go on. And we all know that. We really do. We invented the melting pot because we were so upset by what the reality was. Okay, it still is in large parts of the country. So, what are you doing? The culture war means you're inventing yet another what? There's something, these people who live in California have They're incompetent. Oh, what is racism? Those dark-skinned people, they're not, they're like children. Should I rehash our American South? This is a dangerous way of thinking. I don't think he means it. My suspicion is, like most of people like that, he's ignorant of this country's history. Because if he weren't, he'd be much more hesitant about talking like this, knowing where it comes from and where it might go. It doesn't need some nice, close to the soil farmer to give it validity. They're very dangerous.